Students, today we will study about determiners. Yes, determiners. What is a determiner? Simply put, in English, a determiner is a word that introduces a noun. So what is a determiner? Determiner is a word that introduces a noun. It always comes before a noun, not after. And it also comes before any other adjectives used to describe noun. Okay? Determiners are required before a singular noun but are optional when it comes to introducing plural nouns. Once again, I am telling you, in English, a determiner is a word that introduces a noun. It always comes before a noun, not after, and it comes before any other adjectives used to describe the noun. Determiners are required before a singular noun but are optional when it comes to introducing plural nouns. So, determiners and quantifiers are the words which we use in front of nouns, right? Determiners are words that make the nouns more, or the reference of the nouns more specific. An important role in English grammar is played by determiners. Okay, they are the words that precede a noun or a noun phrase and serve to express its reference in the context. Today we will see various types of determiners. So various types of determiners are namely articles, then demonstratives, possessives, quantifiers, numbers, and distributives, interrogatives, exclamatives, multipliers, and fractions. Once again, we shall see what are various types of determiners. First and foremost, the most important among the determiner and mostly used are articles. Then comes demonstratives, possessives, quantifiers, numbers, distributives, interrogatives, exclamatives, multipliers, and last, fractions. Now we'll see each of them one by one. To begin with, the first one is articles. So there are two types of articles, the indefinite articles and definite articles. The indefinite articles refer to the nouns mentioned for the first time. Generally, a and an are the examples of indefinite articles. In the usage, we see from the example, she bought a new school bag. Here, a is indefinite article. Okay. Then, second one to come is definite articles. Definite articles refer to one or more than one particular noun. Generally, definite articles is the. The is the definite article. The bag is bigger than the one she had earlier. So here we see the, which is very specific. That is called as definite articles. So first, what we have seen here, articles are of two types: indefinite articles and definite articles. A and N are indefinite articles, and the being definite articles. And generally, where is N used? With vowels. Although there are few exceptions also, as we all know. Then we come to demonstratives. What are demonstratives? Demonstratives are the words which point to nouns in terms of distance from the speaker. How far that noun is from the speaker. So it points to nouns in terms of the distance from the speaker. This, that, these, or those. These are demonstratives. I shall repeat those examples of demonstratives. Excuse me, please. This, that, these, those. Then usage of demonstratives. Get me X from that basket. Here, that is an example of demonstratives. Second one, these eggs are rotten. So here, these is the demonstrative. The third one we come to is possessives. Possessives are those determiners which indicate the ownership of nouns. So what are possessives? Which indicate ownership of nouns. Now we see which are possessives. Some examples of possessive. My, your, his, her, its, our, and their. These are the few examples of possessives. Which are determiners? Which are possessives? My, your, his, her, its, our, their. Now if we see the usage, my pet needs a good wash. So here, what is a possessive determiner? My. The second one, their pet shop is yet to open. So there is the possessive here. Next one. Next kind of determiner is our quantifiers. Quantifiers, again as the name itself suggests, indicate to the quantity of nouns. So quantifiers indicate the quantity of nouns. For example, some, all, enough, many, much, any, few, little, less, no, half, both, several, a lot. I shall repeat once again. Some, all, enough, many, much, any, few, little, less, no, half, both, several, a lot. Now we see the usage for quantifiers. A few people in my group are adventurers. So here quantifier is a few. Second usage, you need some courage to be an adventurous. So here some is the example. Next one, next type of determiners. They are numbers, simply numbers. So there are cardinals, indicate exact number of nouns, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Simple numbers. The second types are ordinals. Ordinals are those which talk about the positions of noun in an ordered sequence. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, like that. So what is the difference between cardinals and ordinals? Cardinals indicate the exact number of nouns. 1, 2, 3, 4 are cardinals. And ordinals, which talk about the position of nouns in an ordered sequence. That is first, second, third, and so on. Now we see the usage. First, we see the usage for cardinals. Why do you have two copies of the same book? So here, two. Two is a cardinal or a number. This is also a determiner. Second usage, the first book was bought by me and the second book was a gift. First, second, these are the example of ordinals. And what are ordinals? They are numbers. Example of determiners. Now we come to the next type of determiners, and those are called as distributives. So what are distributives we see? Distributives talk about how nouns are shared or divided. So distributives, what are distributives? Distributives talk about how nouns are shared or divided. And the example are each, every, either. Let us see the usage. Each child should be given a chance to perform. Here, the example for distributive is each. Second one, every member needs to be present. Here, the example is every. That is the example of distributive determiner. We come on to the next type. The next type of determiners are interrogatives. You know, interrogation means asking questions to find out something. So, interrogatives are those determiners which ask questions. Okay, they ask questions. Like W question, what, which, whose. Okay, these are the examples for interrogative. See the usage. Whose box is this? So here, whose is an example of interrogative determiner. Okay. Now, next type of determiners, the exclamatives. See, what are exclamatives? Exclamatives are used for an exclamation of surprise, anger, and other emotions. They are deep, sudden feelings. Okay. Here also, exclamatives which are used for exclamation of surprise, anger, and other emotions. Come to the examples. What and such. Now we see a few usage for exclamatives. What a surprise! And towards the end we see this is the exclamatory mark. So what here is used as exclamative, whereas previously what can be used as interrogative also. Now, after the end of the interrogative sentence, we see interrogative mark is there and here exclamatory mark is there. Second example for the usage of exclamatives, such a spectacular performance. Such here is again exclamative. Come on to the second last one, the type of determiners. They are multipliers. Okay, which multiplies obviously. Denote the multipliers denote multiples. What do multipliers do? Multipliers denote multiples. Like examples which are here: twice, thrice, double, triple, quadruple means 4 times. This stew needed nearly thrice the amount of salt. Example here in the sentence is thrice. Thrice is a multiplier which is used as determiner. Last one. So last type of determiners, they are fractions. Fractions denote divisibles. Anything which can be divided, and how much is divided, that is demonstrated through it. So fractions, they denote divisibles. 2/3, half, quarter, etc. Half the journey is already over. What does it say? Half the journey is already over. So here half is a fraction. So today we have seen various types of determiners. What are the various types of determiners? Articles, demonstratives, possessives, quantifiers, numbers, distributives, interrogatives, exclamatives, multipliers, and fractions. And what is a determiner? Simply, which we have already explained in the beginning of the lesson, a determiner is a word that introduces a noun. Okay, determiner is a word which introduces a noun. And second point which is always to be remembered, that is a determiner always is used before a noun. It cannot be used after a noun. It comes before noun. Okay, and it can also come before any other adjective which is used to describe the noun. Determiners are required before a singular noun but are optional when it comes to introducing plural nouns. So they are used in front of nouns.
Now we are gonna have a quick recap of determiners. First type of determiners are called articles. The indefinite articles refer to nouns mentioned for the first time. The definite articles refers to one or more than one particular noun. For example, a, an, or the. The usage of articles are as follows. She bought a new school bag. The bag is bigger than the one she had earlier. The second type of determiners are called demonstratives. Point to nouns in terms of distance from the speaker. For example, this, that, these, or those. The usage of determiner demonstratives are get me eggs from that basket. These eggs are rotten. Here, that and these are the demonstrative determiners. The third type is possessives. These indicate ownership of nouns. For example, my, your, his, her, its, our, and their. The usage of such types of determiners are my pet needs a good wash. Their pet shop is yet to open. The fourth type is quantifiers. These indicate the quantity of nouns. For example, some, all, enough, many, much, any, few, little, less, no, half, both, several, a lot. The usage of such types of determiners are a few people in my group are adventurers. The second one, You need some courage to be an adventurer. The fifth type is numbers. Cardinals indicate the exact number of nouns, whereas ordinals talk about the positions of nouns in an ordered sequence. For example, 1, 2, 3 are the examples of cardinals, whereas the examples of ordinals are first, second, and third. The usage of such kinds of determiners are: why do you have two copies of the same book? The first book was bought by me, and the second book was a gift. Now, the sixth type of determiners are called distributives. They talk about nouns, how nouns are shared or divided. For example, each, every, or either. Each child should be given a chance to perform. Every member needs to be present are some of its usage. The seventh type is interrogatives. These ask question. The examples of interrogatives are what, which, whose, etc. The usage of such determiners are: whose box is this? The eighth type is exclamatives. These are used for an exclamation of surprise, anger, and other emotions. For example, what, such, etc. The usage of such determiners are: what a surprise! Such a spectacular performance. The ninth type is called multipliers. They simply denote the multiples. For example, twice, thrice, double, triple, or quadruple. The usage of such types of determiners are: this stew needed nearly thrice the amount of salt. The last type is fractions. These denote divisibles. For example, two-thirds, half, or quarter. The usage of such determiners are: half the journey is already over.
So, children, we have seen that determiners and quantifiers are the words which we used in front of nouns. We use these determiners to identify things like this book, my sister, etc. And we use quantifiers to say how much or how many, like a few people, a lot of problems. So there are various specific and general determiners which we have come across today. And the most important thing to note is determiners which we are using here are the, my, some, this, 20, each, any. These are all used before the noun. The countryside, for example, we say some paper, this old sofa, my father. So my is the determiner, father is the noun. 5 green chairs, each person. Okay, so determiners, what we have seen today, are including articles like a, and the. They are demonstratives, that, these, those, this. They are possessives, on, your, his, her, its, our. They are quantifiers, a few, fewer, little, many, more, most, some, any, etc. They are numbers. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, etc. So there are a lot of determiners. Sometimes we don't use a determiner before the nouns, and that is called zero determiner. So what do determiners do? They have mainly two main functions, determiners. And two determiners have two main functions, and they are referring and quantifying. Referring means showing us who or what the noun is pointing to or talking about. So, referring means showing us who or what the noun is pointing to or talking about. The most common types of determiners which we use for referring are articles, possessives, and demonstratives. So, which are the most common types of determiners which we are using for referring? They are the articles, possessives, they are possessives, and they are demonstratives. Where's the newspaper? This is the article. It's on the sofa. Have you seen my MP3 player anywhere? Yes, it's on the kitchen table. Do you want this bag? Or are you going to put it in that box? This refers to something near the speaker, that refers to something which is further away. It is showing the position. Okay. That is, Charles is looking for his dictionary. Have you got it? His means the noun refers to something belonging to a male. Here it is, in this case, it is Charles. Charles is looking for his dictionary. And quantifying means, what do you mean by the word quantifying? Quantifying means showing how much of something there is or how many. Like quantity, showing the quantity is quantifying. 5 people were arrested during an anti-war demonstration in London today. So 5 is a quantifier. There are some letters here for you. Here some means a non-specific small number or a quantity of something. Do you have enough flour to make the bread? Here enough means a quantity that is sufficient or adequate for something. So today we have seen what determiners are and what are various types of determiners and what is the importance of determiners. So to end with, I will tell you the most important thing. The determiners are the words that make reference to the noun more specific. What is the role of determiners? Determiners are the words that make the reference of nouns more specific. Okay. Hope you will all be benefited by this. Thank you.